After a few months of experimenting, of patches coming and going, and seeing what once the undisputed champions still being champions despite all the trips down the stairs it's been forced to endure, I think it's about time we examine the most hotly debated topic when it comes to gameplay: Crest. Crest can completely change your playstyle, to what tools you carry, to your moveset, to only healing when someone was next to you. Yeah, I don't think I'm letting that one go. Now, unlike tools or spells where there are clear winners that eat up the competition, I can't say the same for Crest. Despite me ranking them, I'll fully admit that these crests are completely dependent on who you are as a player. Different crests serve different functions. Maybe you like the chaotic style of the Beast Crest, or enjoy spamming spells with Shaman and Egg or just getting more Silk with Reaper. So, let's take these 7 playstyles, technically 9 but we'll get to that later, and see how they compare to each other. We'll mostly be judging them on their combat abilities, tool slots, exploration, and finally how much I like it personally. This is ultimately my opinion at the end of the day, so if your feathers get ruffled, then, well, sucking often sucks. Let's take a deep breath and discuss the worst of them all. Oh, I forgot these two. Guess we need to discuss them since the wiki considers these two crests. Number 9, Cloakless. So remember that time you got sent to prison because you'd use your wall jump to go to a place you couldn't get to before and got captured by this guy who was confirmed to not bathe, and you're now trapped in this cage without anything to your name. In this form, you have no tools, no needle, no spells, and no fun, because escaping the slab in general sucks. This crest may only appear in one location that requires specific circumstances, and that area in question being designed for it, and I think that one location is too much already. You want to know why Cursed Crest is better than this one? Because you still have your needle. You aren't completely defenseless even though healing is off the table now. I can't even praise the fact that you can still heal in this form because the escape sequence is legitimately so easy that you don't even need to heal half the time. The only reason this and the other failure are on this list is because the wiki told me so. All because of technicality instead of actually earning their spot on this list. I guess we get to see Naked Hornet revealing that she's an actual stick figure with a large head and that people drawing her with a hot body should just stop. Number 8, Cursed. Yeah, of course it's down here. If you haven't gone through the trouble of trying to get the twisted ending, first off, lucky bitch. And second, that ending is the only thing you can accomplish with this crest. The fact that this crest is nothing more than a demo for Witch Crest without all the things that actually make that crest really good is beyond infuriating. And you best believe I would go through Yarnaby's horrifying procedure dozens of times if it means I don't have to experience this mistake of a game decision again. So with those done, we can actually talk about the real crest of Silksong and finally talk about the true worst crest in the game, because we all know what it is. Number 7, the Beast Crest. I am so sorry, Beast Crest fans. I know that this crest is designed for nothing but combat, that the 2 red tools you have can increase damage with Flint Slay while using Flea Brew to get the most out of your speed and attacks, and that when you bind you get plus 5 damage for each needle strike, and the fact that this is the only crest in the game that changes your taunt is a really raw detail they didn't have to include. And with that, my list of positives ends there. I think this crest is bad, but I'm not going to pretend it's beyond worthless. Having only 5 slots is already not great, but when 2 of those slots are yellow tools, and the only way to get a single blue tool is make it pretty far into Ava's quest, that's just a really huge ask. Its down pogo is abysmal, magnetic dice is a requirement due to how close you stick to enemies. The spell slot is practically worthless since you'll only be using Silk to bind with the crest. It's hard to find something where its positives are so laughably insignificant that they may as well not even be there in the first place. I guarantee you, if you trade one of the yellows or even that spell slot for a blue, about 50% of these things' problems would vanish overnight. The long claw and the ejector band combo might have been what this thing needed, but now you're stuck with only one or the other. Again, I'm not saying you're dumb for liking this crest, I'm just saying you're wrong. Those are 2 different things, people. Alright, I won't let the fact that the moves you use with this crest are a great callback to Grim distract me from the fact that this crest gets hard countered once you get to Act 2. If we were talking passives, then this crest would be a top 3 contender, and having the same tool layout that Hunter has should have only brought greatness. Instead, you realize those silk fragments are the only thing carrying this crest and its poor speed. 80% lower speed may not sound too bad, but trust me, being slow is a bad idea in a game that demands agility. You get it pretty early in Greymoor, and I think it could do pretty good work until Clockwork Dancers, but after that point, its usefulness will have unfortunately dried up. In terms of tools, all Silksong variants will be your best friend here, and every spool-based blue tool, like Spool Extender and Reserve Bind, will work well. You can even choose Wisp Fire Lantern since you'll be swimming in Silk, but that requires using the lantern, so maybe not. Really, don't take this being number 6 as a disservice, since it's still usable. It's just a sad case where everything above it is so much superior, especially in terms of needle strike. Ew. Just look at this charged attack makes my stomach turn. Let's move on. Now this is the part where my takes may be getting pretty controversial. Let me say this again. This is not a bad crest at all. If you like this crest, that's perfectly valid. However, what in the world am I supposed to do with 4 yellow tools? I don't think running faster or straightening the needle in is the best way to defeat bosses. In terms of exploration and full-on farming, this is easily the best one here. And in combat, it's actually not that bad. Sure, only one red tool isn't great, but having the highest DPS out of every crest isn't anything to sneeze at. A great synergy is Flint Slate to expand on its great DPS, and Long Claw to cover its shorter than average range. You can even use Sharp Dart in order to complete your Hollow Knight cosplay. The main claim to fame is the critical hit this crest has, and the fact that the Needle Strike is 5 rapid hits, not only making it the second strongest in that regard, but the critical hit has a chance to proc during the attack, hitting for 3 times the damage your needle would have done. Now, this could be due to my bad luck, but while it has a 2% chance for a critical according to the wiki, I had once done 300 hits on the same enemy, no changes to my tool or loadout, and I only got 3 critical hits as a whole. I'm not sure if there's a secret modifier against fighting the same enemy type, but I struggled to get the critical hit to work. Definitely has its niche, but I can't realistically place it any higher. Number 4, the Shaman Crest. From here on out, I really like every crest at this point. I've used these top 4 in some important fights and areas, but the one I used least was Shaman. Having to get Silksong all the way in Act 3 for this crest severely hinders its longevity. Not to say it's unusable, it does pretty well in the act you find it in. The main perk is not only having 3 spells to just spam, but these spells get an increased 40% damage for each of its hits, and 40% is hard to get wrong. Volt Filament is pretty much mandatory here, since it's a 25% boost to spells on top of the 40%. The other 2 blue tools should be Egg of Flealia and Weave Light. That way you always ensure you can throw out a spell whenever you need to. This combination leads to the highest damaging spell in the game, and being able to take a 13th of Lost Lace's health, assuming every hit connects, that's just stupid strong. It having no yellow or red tools, as well as a mediocre needle strike attack, alongside the fact that every regular hit is now a projectile, are the unfortunate cons it possesses. I simply think that the top 3 are better overall crest as a whole. We appreciate your sacrifice, Snail Shamans, but it just wasn't enough. Number 3, the Witch Crest. First off, I should compliment this crest for being so unique. Instead of simply stabbing whatever corpse horn it runs into, this crest has an entire quest attached to it, alongside whatever this cutscene was. Yikes. As for the crest itself, it's pretty great. While it may be slower than regular Hunter's crest, its longer range is a fair trade, even though Long Claw doesn't really help this crest. Speaking of blue tools, you can carry 4 of them. Do you realize how OP that is? The binding is the make or break of this crest though, as while the tentacles you shoot out are very strong, it can't heal on its own as it requires enemies to essentially absorb their health. I didn't really like this at first, as I thought not being able to heal whenever was a huge downgrade, but it ends up being one of its strengths. Injector Band, Multi-Binder, Claw Mirrors all affect the crest binding, not only resulting in the fastest binding in the game becoming faster, but also adding 67 extra damage on top of the 3x needle damage you're already doing, assuming you don't kill whatever you're facing, because it's hard to suck health out of charred corpses. As for the 4th blue, while Pin Badge may be tempting seeing as Witch Crest does the highest damage at 4.8 times your needle damage, I found the charge attack to be too unreliable for my taste, so you're better off with Warding Bell for bind protection, or just simply choose Fracture Mask, because the mask is legitimately great. Number 2, the Hunter Crest. Good old reliable, the one you've had since the start. Usually beginner items or classes in Metroidvanias, while functional for every part of the game, tend to get overshadowed by something else altogether. While that may be true here as well, the fact that I got to 2nd place isn't a dishonor. I think everyone here has played the game, so I'm not going to go over the fact that the charge attack is 2 hits for some reason. The biggest strength this crest has is building focus by hitting enemies. See that bar when I hit that enemy? Well, with a fully upgraded crest, after dealing 12 hits and maxing out your bar, you get a 1.5 times multiplier on all needle strikes. However, any damage taken or bench stat will reset this passive, meaning the crest mostly depends on how good you are at not getting hit. While I'm not bad at this game, taking no damage during a boss isn't my strongest skill, but with only 6 hits, you can get 1.3 times multiplier on your damage instead, so not a bad trade. In terms of tools, practically anything is viable in terms of red tools. Flea Brew can be used to build focus faster, while the drill can remove the disadvantage of not needing to strike your trajectory just to pogo. Magnetic Dice, Cross Stitch, and Warding Bell can prevent the loss of focus, leaving the other 2 slots to whatever you want them to be. Barbed Bracelet if you feel daring, and Long Claw to always keep at a distance. Truly, Hunter got this far not because it excels at any one thing, but due to how all-purpose it is even at the game's end. Alright, it's time for him to come out. If you know, you know. Having 3 red tools that can not only be tailor-made to ensure you don't even have to use your needle again, but the fact the game allows you to use your bind to get all those tools back should be all I need to write down for this section. The obvious drawback is that there are no spell slots, but seeing as you'll most likely use Silk for healing in your first playthrough, I find it to be a non-issue. Quick Sling and Polyp Pouch are the best as they directly affect red tools, while Reserve Bind acting as an emergency button if you wasted one of your binds. In terms of yellow, Magnetic Dice and Magnetized Brooch are highly recommended. Trust me, you'll be spending thousands of rosaries on Shadow Shards if you want to live this lifestyle. As for red, just pick anything. I'm serious, whatever red tools you wish to use should crush everyone in your path. The fact that simply spamming these things can melt most of the Act 3 bosses on their own is beyond parody. The best part is that the 12th Architect sells this for such a low price after only getting 25 tools, which aren't that hard to find if you just simply search the map in Act 2. When you get the Architect Crest, you get the win button. So after all that, I guess I should write out an outro. Oh, here we go. Whatever goes on in your life, honest values, the power of friendship, and no one got arrested.